Hello again and welcome back to Casterton Vintage Videos. This week we're taking you on an overseas trip. We're off to the Central Wheat Belt in the USA. We're joining the legend that was Stark's Harvesters. Yes, I can see what you're thinking. It's not wheat and we're not in Texas. We're in Norfolk, but we're definitely with one of the original Stark's Harvesters. Keeping these 1980s prairie combines working is a bit of an art, and it's the passion of this man, who did 5 seasons back in the 80s with custom harvester Dale Starks. They started in Texas and then followed the ripening wheat from state to state northwards and then on into Canada. First order of the day is maintenance, but that can wait until after we've had a cup of tea. The Massey Ferguson 800 series combines were built in Brantford, Ontario, Canada. They were first introduced in 1981. The original power flow headers were first built in Scotland and then in France. This one's a later design built at the Dronnenburg factory in Denmark. It was available as an option on this combine, but was far more common in Europe than it was in North America. And it looks like everything's ready, so the first order of the day is to finish opening up the field. We've got 3 lovely classic Ford tractors on the grain trailers, and we'll see more of those a bit later. That's combine number 1 empty, now for combine number 2. Combine number 3's missing. Ah, there it is. Looks like they've got a bit of a problem. The barley's very short and it's quite easy to end up bulldozing rather than combining.
Fingers?
Yeah. Okay. That's the bugger.
So just get the auger chops cleared there. We could actually push this out and get the and so not do although when I get the wheel that will.
Well, it looks like that's all fixed okay. Now we just need to empty the grain tank. Well, that's all three combines working again. Now let's see if we can take a pass with all three right through the middle of the crop. Well, I don't know what you think, but to me that's pretty impressive. A piece of the US prairie right in the middle of Norfolk. And we appear to be missing combine number 3 again, still struggling with the header I think. Here he comes now, over on the other side of the land. Even if your combine's got a grain loss monitor, it's always important to double check what's coming out the back. So in the modern world, it's quite common for young farmers to take a 6-month break and head off to the USA or probably even Australia to help out with the harvest. But back in the mid-70s, it wasn't that common. In fact, it was quite a challenge if you wanted to do it. In 1976, the BBC aired a program called The Yellow Trail from Texas, and it covered the story of the custom harvester Dale Starks. If you Google that, you can still buy a DVD of that program. It fired interest in a number of people within the UK, and in particular the owner of these combines. He went on to track down the details of Dale Starks and got himself a job. And as I said earlier, he went back for 5 years in a row. It's time for a bit more consultation on what comes next. We've now got 2 full trailers, so it's time to head off to the grain store. The 2 tractors are a TM140 at the front and an 8870 following up behind. It's a Canadian import, just like the combines. Considering they date from the early 90s up to the early 2000s, both tractors are in immaculate condition. And pushing up in the grain store, we've got this classic Sanderson teleporter. Bear in mind that Sanderson's went out of business in November 1990. This forklift's got to be at least 35 years old. By the time we get back to the combines, they've finished that field and they're moving on to the next one. I think you'd go a long way to find another 8870 as tidy as this one. It looks like we've been doing a little bit of bulldozing again. These short crops are really very challenging. And it's my turn to have a drive. I've never driven one of these big Masseys before, and I've never worked a power flow header. It's very easy to see why they were so well liked. And as I learn how to drive the combine, that's the end of our visit to Texas in Norfolk. We certainly enjoyed filming it, so I hope you enjoyed watching it. If you did, don't forget to click the thumbs up button and give us a like. We'll be back again next week with some older harvest content. So thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you again very soon.